Hello and welcome back to another episode of Know Your Town. My name is Andrew Whitcomb, and on this show we like to feature different town departments, elected officials, and generally get a good idea of what goes on in this town and how it runs, which is why, because it's budget season and we all love the town of Saugus, I brought my dear friend on from the Saugus School Committee, the chairman, Mr. Vincent Serino. How are you?
Great, how are you?
You know, even though I come to a lot of the school committees, I always feel like you and I don't see each other enough. It's weird. We're doing another episode later today that'll come out next month with the town meeting moderator. I feel the same way about him. We live, feet from each other. He lives 2 doors down from me, and I always feel like I love talking to Steve. I love talking to you. I mean, you're actually the second member of the school committee that we've had on this show. A couple of years ago, we did an episode with your friend Ryan Fisher. Yeah. That was more of a mercy thing. He seemed like he needed some friends, and I thought I would just...
He's built a great friend base.
Now, we love Ryan on this show, and why we do this show is so that people can get a better understanding of not just, what these elected officials do and what their organizations do, but who they are as people, which is why I want to start with a question that I've always wanted to know. Could you give me a little background on the Serino family? Because I went to school with your daughter. We were the same age. And there was about 2,000 Serinos that got off a boat one day and came over. Because I knew one of your cousins too was at the Voc for a while. You've got another cousin that's on the school committee. Could you give me a little bit of because you've had other relatives that have served in the town too?
Yeah. So my Uncle Chris, I remember being a kid. My Uncle Chris served on the selectmen. Yep. And I remember back in those days, we used to hand out the flyers. We'd get together on a Sunday. You'd get Cane's Donuts, and all the kids would be putting flyers on the doors.
Boy, do I know that. I mean, when Scott Crabtree ran for selectman the first time, 2008, 9, whatever it was, my grandmother made an announcement to the family. There was a APB, Scott's running, we're all going to help him. So we'd ride around with the doors open in Chrissy Crabtree's minivan and descend on a neighborhood with a bunch of papers,
Oh, yeah, yeah. So from my understanding, it's my great-grandfather who came over, settled in East Saugus.
On Bristow Street.
Bristow Street, and built the houses and had the land on Serino Way. And then my grandfather and his brothers, my Uncle Jim, my Uncle Anthony, Uncle Joe, Uncle Christy, my Aunt Lou.
Christy has the new stadium's named after Christy, right?
I'm talking about his father.
You're his father, okay.
His father, Christy Sr. That's
I should
Christy
really put
Jr.
a tree together.
Yeah, I know, and it's, I think like my Uncle Chris and like my cousin Mike and stuff, We've been in this town a long time, and we just want to give back.
Right. Italians travel in packs.
Yeah, we do. I
mean, and I think about that, obviously the town manager and I are cousins, even though him and I don't speak that much, but as a kid, it was kind of cool to say your cousin was on the selectmen, and kind of, when I was, 10 years old, I wanted to know what that meant. And that's part of the reason why I'm still involved today, is because I kind of liked running around. I liked seeing Scott in parades, getting to know all of you, So when you were growing up, are you watching your 6 uncles going, I should do that someday?
Yeah, I think you watch them from afar. You're a kid, right? You're playing and stuff like that. And really, politics are the last thing.
There's always people over the house, though.
Correct. And you see little things that you say, hey, how come the town doesn't do this?
Right.
And you get answers, we can't do this because of X, Y, Z.
Right.
And you say, oh, okay. And I think as you get older, and it's funny, but I never in my life imagined moving away from Saugus.
Same here.
I was always going to live here, right? And when job opportunities came and there was relocation, I was never going to do that. And I was going to raise my family here because of the location and the people, mostly because of the people, right?
That's it.
I think Saugus is a different community. I think when we as a community go out and see the people, I think we're all, whether we know them or not,
right,
we have a friendship to them. If I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and there's someone from Saugus there, you go to them, and
right.
and if there's if they need help with something, you help them. And I think that's what I loved about this community.
And I feel the same way, but even it extends to like the North Shore. I'll never forget one of the first days as a student leader at UMass Lowell, the Student Government E-Board has a monthly meeting with the chancellor and her cabinet. And it's a very special thing that Lowell's been doing for years. There's no staff there. It's just the students and the high-level administrators. Well, the vice chancellor for advancement looks at me and he introduced himself. Hi, I'm John. I'm from Everett. I went, we're already in. There's no way. And I actually saw the gentleman the other day. We're still friends 5 years later now that I've graduated, you know. But even in Saugus, there's sort of that, I guess the sort of 90s, early 2000s Saugus, and even in the 80s too, with the Route 1 signs and going to the Kowloon and this sort of Kelly's roast beef generation, almost.
Yeah,
It's almost a way to put that. I mean, you went to Saugus High.
I graduated in '85.
I mean, it's got to change at some point. That's the other thing we like to talk about this show. And we'll get to the school committee in a second, but do you remember anything from back then? You say, man, I miss those days.
Well, I think we're living in a different world today, right? With all the communication, cell phones and stuff like that. I think the one thing that I can see throughout the country and I miss in going back to schools are the neighborhood schools.
Yeah.
Because you walked to school.
Right.
And it was a neighborhood school.
Well, you walked home from school too.
Correct. You walked home and your friends were in your class.
Right.
Right. And you grew up with them.
But they lived in the neighborhood.
They lived in the neighborhood.
It's not like they were taking the bus to the other side of the town.
Correct. And even when my kids grew up, it was all the kids would come to my house on whether it was Monday or Tuesday. My wife would load them all in the van to the school. Next day it was so-and-so, and next day it was so-and-so. And even you talk about Billy Cross. Me and Billy Cross grew up as friends, and his son and my son are best friends.
Right.
My daughter and Chris Howard, who was in my wedding and one of my best friends, my daughter and Emma are best friends.
Right, and we all, a bunch of us went to school together. We spoke about it a little bit before the show started, but there's probably a dozen names I could throw out now whose kids, including your daughter, happen to be the same age. We all went to school together. We all grew up together. It doesn't mean we all knew each other really well, but it's fun for me now to see them, to see their parents and get to know them and work with them a little bit, politically or through town activities. But a lot of them are on town meeting and stay involved.
Well, and I think part of it is I grew up coaching Little League, Papuana, basketball. I got to know you when you were in high school, and just watching you guys grow up and watching you become adults and good adults like Brendan Grocky, who I've coached my whole life, is a Saugus police officer now.
Yep.
And I'm really proud of him, and it's just good to see him, and he's a good person. And it's good to see these people on the fire department, the police department. And I think that's what makes this community a little bit different than others, is we all have each other's backs.
Well, that's it, right? And there's often a lot of drama, and maybe it's because I spend too much time on social media, but that sort of pivots to the next topic, which is you're chair of the school committee. How long have you been on the school committee? And did you do a non-consecutive term?
Correct. I first ran in 13 to 15, and then I came back 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I ran a consecutive.
Yep. So give me before we get into sort of the nuts and bolts of it, give me a brief rundown on the responsibilities of the school committee.
So a school committee is responsible for budget, policy, procedure, hire and fire superintendents.
Those are the big three.
Those are the big three. We don't get involved in personnel decisions.
Hiring and firing and things.
Correct. We don't. But what we like to do is we look at it, and we look at the schools as a whole, the social well-being of the students, the physical well-being of the students, and the mental well-being of the students. And I think as a committee, when you look at what's best for the student, you can kind of find out what's best for the community and the schools.
Well, right. And here's the interesting thing too is, and I don't know how it comes across to people that are skimming channels and just see a school committee meeting. You guys aren't, oftentimes the school committee isn't educators and, university provosts and people with doctoral degrees. You're a parent. You know, Ryan Fisher is a parent. Stephanie Mastrocola is a parent. That's usually the breakup, you know, and we've had people in the past, I think of the late, great Linda Gajewski, who was a dear friend and had worked in the schools for years before she ran. She was a principal, I think, at Belmonte for years before she ran for school committee.
Yeah, no, and I think the one thing about school committee is we all have a diverse makeup of what our skills are, right?
Right.
For years, my father started his own business, and I ran it when he passed away, so I understand budgets. Now I better understand a municipal budget.
Right.
Ryan Fisher, who's a brilliant man, understands a lot about social well-being of people.
Right. But he's also got the state budget side too with his daily work.
Correct. And you've got Stephanie, who's a nurse who understands the well-being. Right. You've got Tommy, who works in the town and understands the ins and outs of everything.
It'd be a fun one to have on this show.
Tommy's one of the...
We wouldn't get any work done. We'd spend too much time laughing.
You'd have a ball. And then you got John Hatch, who has a unique set of skills as, you know, he's...
EMS worker.
EMS, but he's brilliant in human resources. So I think we all bring a lot of different skills together, and as long as you can work together collaboratively with them, it makes a great committee.
Right. And there have been school committees in the past that get contentious. I mean, I can just say, you know this, I like to walk down to the school committee meetings. I could watch them on TV, but I live up the street, take a walk for the night. I like to see you guys. You know, this particular iteration of the committee, you guys don't fight between yourselves. Sometimes the audience can get, depending on the questions and who comes up and speaks, but you guys all seem to like each other to an extent, you know, and that lends itself to betterment of the students.
We have a great working relationship, but we have great personal relationships. Right. You know, because that's part of, and when I look at it, Ryan grew up in the town, Tommy grew up in the town, John grew up in the town, Stephanie's been here for a long time and has been an active part of the community. So I think when you look at that, I think that's really, like, I graduated with John Hatch. He graduated a year ahead of me.
It's the Crabtree effect. I mean,
yeah.
My mother went to the Voc, but she went to the Voc for her last year. She graduated in '82.
Yeah.
So she knew all those names too.
Yeah.
You know, my grandmother's best friend was this woman, Pat Annis, who had started SAVE. And she was involved in a ton of other programs in town and just happened to be over at my grandmother's house all the time. So my mother's best friend ended up being her daughter. And Pat was really good friends with Janice Jaros. You know, this was, let's say, 40 years ago. So now I hear all those names just sort of popping up, you know, and it's kind of sweet to an extent, right? You can feel the sort of generational impact.
Well, like it's funny, but I'm very proud. I'm very proud of my town.
Me too.
I travel this country a lot for work, and people ask me where I'm from, and I'll say Saugus, Massachusetts, and I'll start saying, well, we had the first ironworks, and we were founded in 1629, and
the creator of Wonder Woman was born here.
Yeah, and I'll go out west, and everything's a grid, and I go, you guys couldn't drive on our roads.
You know, so we're getting into budget season. Mm-hmm. This is, I think, I don't know when this episode will come out, but we're filming it in April. So town meeting annual warrant, you guys have voted on the school committee budget already. Can you give me a rough sort of breakdown on how that goes?
Yeah, so we really start budget season in November.
Yep.
And I think that's when we start looking at our critical needs. And I think when we look at that, we develop a budget based on what do we have to have.
What do you need to keep the lights on?
Correct.
Everything else is extra.
Correct. And I think the one thing I think people, and I'd like people to understand a little better, is what we're voting on and what we're doing is an operational budget.
Right.
Our budget is actually more than that because we have what we call Schedule 19, which is what the town pays for.
Is that health insurance?
The health insurance, the benefits.
I know this because I think it's like half of the technical school committee budget is a town, it's part of the town. The town managers, it's not the manager, but could you say that better than I can?
Correct. So what it is when you look at insurance and benefits, anything like that, the town pays for that.
Right.
But the liability is on the school, right? So if we hire X amount of teachers and we hire them at X amount of dollars, that's great. But once they get rolled up into the system, their insurance and stuff is picked up by the town. So if we're not communicating with the town and we hired 20 people, that's a big bill on their side that they didn't see coming. So that's why we have to collaborate and communicate. And that's why I think we've done a great job and in some committees the town needs to do, we collaborate, we work with the town. Mr. Crabtree's been phenomenal to the schools. He's responsible for the new school down there.
That's right.
And he cares about them. And if the money's in the budget, we'll get the money. And what people need to understand about our budget is based on tax revenue.
Yes.
80% of our budget is salaries, right? So if a contract's up and we need to give them a new contract, the only way we can really do that is based on tax revenues, because it has to be a reoccurring fund. You can't take one-time money. Like we could get a grant for $10 million.
Fantastic, but that's running out at some point.
We can't do raises with that because it's not a reoccurring fund.
And you cannot be in a situation where you'd say, this year you're getting 3%. Oh, by the way, we got to take it back in 2 years.
100%.
That'd be horrific.
100%.
I don't even know if that's legal.
It isn't. But the other thing you got to look at too is how do you keep your teachers engaged? How do you keep your teachers engaged and happy with their contract without costing other teachers their positions?
You know, we had a saying. I'm going to pivot back to the student government for a second here. When I was in college, we had, I think it was $150,000 from the UMass Board of Trustees that we had to give out to the student organizations, and that was part of my job. I was on the finance committee. I was running the governance committee, and we had a whole process for how we determined the budget based on a number of factors. And it didn't matter what amount we gave out; they weren't happy with, right? You know, I used to say, if I had my way, every single one of these clubs would be the most popular club on campus. But it just doesn't work that way. We can't afford to do this.
We have phenomenal teachers. Phenomenal sports staff. Support staff. The clerks. I can't say enough about the clerks and the teachers and the support staff. And you want to compensate them fairly and compensate them all, but it's not. You don't have a finite budget. You have a limited budget that you can work with, and that's why you negotiate.
You know, and it's always hard for me. I mean, you just said it, right? If I could give $1 million to every teacher in town, I'd do it in a second. But then you get to health insurance, and then utilities, and then we were paying for a new school. That was done through a proposition override, a tax levy increase, which we're going to have to do again for the VOC, and we're probably going to have to do it for the fire station that was just talked up for it's not a fire station anymore, it's an emergency response station, whatever they're calling it. That kind of money doesn't come from anywhere, right? The taxpayers will need to foot that bill because we can't pull it out of our operation budget.
Correct. And I think one of the things that you really need to understand is Saugus has an extremely low tax base.
Yes. So
we're not like other communities have a larger tax base that they can draw off of. And when you look at us, if you look at us as a whole and say, hey, if we had X amount more per year for every taxpayer to pay, that'd be great. But we're limited by 2.5. So
right. Well, it's like I heard a comparison earlier this week. Somebody was talking about Saugus compared to Revere, and why does Revere have this and that? I said, well, Revere has twice as many people as we do, and 2.5 times the budget.
Correct.
Why don't we start with that? So I guess pivoting to this, are you ready for town meeting? Annual town meeting starts in a couple of weeks. You've got did you guys introduce any articles this year in addition to your operating
Yes,
articles?
we have, they're technically 3 articles, but it's really one. It's the enrichment.
Yep. Oh, fantastic.
And I can't say enough about the enrichment. it has unified students. It has taken students outside their comfort zones.
This is a series of after-school programs.
Correct.
That we had something similar when I was in school, and I think it had gone away, and now it's come back even stronger. You know this. My favorite part of going to the school committee meetings is that the superintendent, Mr. Hashem, often brings athletes and student leaders and these kids that have been through the enrichment program to tell the story to you guys. You know, we got to do this thing. We had a great time. I learned poetry. I learned music. I was doing, we did some painting, and my teacher was really supportive. And I love hearing those kinds of stories. So it's why I hope a program like this stays forever.
Yeah, no, you heard some of the parents, you were there. Just, my kid, he wasn't comfortable in school, and he went into this program, and now he loves it, and he's coming back, like the newspaper club.
Right.
And I think it's the way we built the programs, like the newspaper club. You're reading, you're writing, you're learning, and it's fun.
Right. You're writing something fun too.
Correct.
You get to pick the article.
Yes.
I think they were doing like movie reviews and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it is what we're really leaning in on. These new warrants and enrichment are more educational based, more tutoring hubs, more math hubs, more reading hubs, things that, more tutoring hubs. You have stuff you need to do after school. Right. You have a tutoring hub to go to.
Well, it's like even thinking back to when, it's funny, I don't remember ever doing homework. I'm sure I did it because I'm here, but I don't remember ever doing it. And I think if I had sort of, listen, we get out at 2:40, 2:10, whatever it was at Belmonte, stay for an extra hour, such and such a professor a teacher's here, they're going to give you a hand with the math. I would have done it.
Oh, yeah.
And I know there was a lot of kids that had sports and were doing other activities, and nobody wants to see any of that go away, right? I think the biggest lesson I learned on campus, and I know the UMass system is a little different than this, the chancellor was on our team, right? It may not always seem it, but I believed in my heart, I still do, that they weren't going to do something that they didn't think was right for the students. And I would talk to other students that weren't involved, and they talked about the university provost like he sat in his office and counted tuition money on this. I said, no, he's a good guy. They just need to make this work for the longevity of the university.
No, absolutely. As a school committee, I think we're challenged with things that are difficult, right? We need to make difficult decisions.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you've got to look at what's best for the student, what's best for the town, right? And how do we collaborate together with the town and stuff to bring these programs. The enrichment thing was town meeting votes on it, and they laid out, hey, this is what we want to see, and I think we brought it to fruition, and I think it was very successful.
And maybe, I don't know what we could do to get that, not that I think it have any trouble passing, it's an incredible program, but maybe we could get one of the faculty advisors for that program, one of the teachers, to come down and speak to town meeting or write a letter.
I think we're planning something like that.
I would caution against bringing the kids just because town meeting can be kind of hectic, but yeah. I know a lot of the town meeting members, as you do. Nobody wants to see the towns fail. Nobody wants to see the school fail. But as you pointed out earlier, we have the best bond rating possible.
Yeah.
We're in the best financial shape we've ever been, and a lot of the credit is due to Mr. Crabtree and to the work of the past couple of school committees. You mentioned it earlier, about the new middle high school. I remember when that whole thing started. I remember going to the sort of introductory meetings, and it was very clear. I said, this is possible, but we have to do it as a team. I remember, holding signs in Cliftondale was it had to be yes on both articles, for the proposition override
Correct.
And for the tax increase. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
In fact, that exact situation happened with the third fire station 20 years ago, whatever it was. The first vote had passed, the second one didn't. So I don't remember what it technically came out to. It was like they funded the fire station, but they didn't fund the staff, or the other way around.
Yeah, so we started the new school. We started that back in 2013, my first year on, and we were looking at a new high school, and that's when Mr. Crabtree said, the MSBA you're not going to build more schools.
Right.
They're going to give you one shot. So that's why we came up with the middle high school.
But it also I remember the reimbursement rate was pretty high, and at the same time, I think 70% of that school was funded by the state.
Yes.
20% was, I think, 10 was commercial taxpayers, and 20% was the town spread out over whatever the 20-year bond was, 30-year bond. And as Mr. Crabtree likes to tout this one anytime he gets a chance, as he rightfully should, the interest rate on those bonds was, 0.5%, something like that, which is unheard of now.
Yes.
The amount, the reason why we had a 0.5% interest rate was because of the bond rating.
Correct.
Because Saugus squirrels money away, because of the stabilization fund.
I think people need to understand is that stabilization fund has done more good for Saugus than anyone. If you don't take a dollar out of it, it has done more good for this town than anyone realizes.
And you don't realize it because you're financially taking the high road.
Correct.
Right? We could use all the money in the stabilization fund. We could buy whatever you wanted. But we'd notice real fast that things got more expensive.
Correct.
Right? So I'd rather sit on.
No, listen, like I said, there's a lot of tough decisions out there that you need to make, and you just have to do it. And really, I think why, as a committee, work so good together and we work well with the town meeting is I think we all have the same long-term vision. What's best for Saugus?
You know, I remember, I imagine you were there, the groundbreaking for the new school.
Yeah.
I have a photo, a big group photo that, the committee was wearing the red hats and the shovels, and I was in the back, and I was standing with Senator Crichton, newly elected Senator Crichton.
Great man, by the way.
Fantastic. And he's going to come on and do the show with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Him and I believe Jessica Giannino, our state rep friend from Revere.
She's another great
rock
person.
star.
Yeah.
But that goes back to why I do this show. We had, I filmed an episode last week that probably came out a month ago, depending on when this is released, with Eileen Duff, the new Register of Deeds.
Okay.
I had worked with Eileen for a while, and she, on her campaign and some other stuff. But there's somebody else, like Crichton, like Jess Giannino, that just wants to know how she can help the public. So she came and we chatted about the responsibilities of the registry and what it is her agency can help with. Getting a deed to your property. You do not need to pay to get a copy of your property deed. You do not need to pay anyone. You call the registry, they will give it to you. You got to prove that it's yours, but they'll give it to you. And I guess I still think about that day with the shovels and the hats and they said they couldn't be done.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people said they couldn't do it, and
I would walk over there and see it as I worked at the mall for a while years ago. So I would walk over the bridge, and slowly the Indian head and the metal siding started to materialize. Holy, they're gonna do it,
And I'd ask people who haven't seen the school inside to come and visit because it is phenomenal. And I think it adds a lot of value to town. And I really feel like if you have good schools, it helps the community. It helps the kids, right?
The school system is what attracts people to move to Saugus.
Correct.
I'll never forget it. One of the vice principals, so I believe just retired, was a friend of mine. And she said, come in one day when it's quiet, put a hat on and I'll give you a tour of the building. And my jaw was open the entire time. Walking into the auditorium, and they've got these, not just lighting, but the whole roof looked like it was made out of stars.
Oh yeah.
Even the new stadium. Oh, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and what they've done to the Belmonte, is phenomenal. And it's like I said, the buildings are beautiful, but what's even more impressive to me, it even really makes me more excited, is the quality of the teachers and the staff we have in there.
You know, what do you want the public to know about not just the job of the school committee? I know you said all the teachers are incredible, and I know that, but what do you think is misunderstood? Aside from the fact that people keep dropping their kids off on the exit ramp, which we will get to at the end of the show.
Well, I think we have a possible fix to that. We've been looking at traffic patterns and doing a study, so I think we have a fix to that, which will start in September. But what I'd like people to understand is when teachers go home, their job doesn't stop.
Right.
I'm married to a teacher, and I can tell you, I can't talk to her on Sunday because
papers.
She's working, and she's working after school, and they care about the kid. They take an interest in, like, when one of their classes are graduating, they're at the graduation, and I just think there's a lot of value in the personal touch that the teachers have.
Right, and there's, you know, as somebody who grew up without a father, you know, I can say confidently that the amount of really good teachers I had along the way, tremendous help. A lot of them were Saugus teachers, you know, people I still talk to this day because they helped me through a million different things.
Oh, I can tell you the teachers I still talk to, the Mr. Bernards, Mr. Ward, Mr. Serino, you spend so much time with them, they're going to have an effect on your life, right? They're gonna add value to your life. They're going to teach you things that you might not learn. And I think that's the one thing I'm proud about the schools, right, is we have those people.
You know, I think back to the time I spent in Saugus schools. I was at Belmonte when they did all the construction. I remember they had moved our classroom up to the third floor because we couldn't, the first floor was under construction. And then after the new school was built, they had added in the administrative,
correct,
whatever we're calling it, the C-suite there. When I was in school at Belmonte, those were the tech ed shops.
Correct.
And
those were actually the shop classes when I was in school.
I think we had tech ed, and I don't even remember doing too much, but I remember there was a lot of physics related projects.
Yeah.
We did the egg drop, you know, the egg drop one with, you know, it has to be 5 inches by 5 inches and don't break the egg.
Yeah.
And, you know, walking in that space now, of course, is this beautiful school committee room. Now, since it's been a while since we've used the Roby for the school committee room, the Roby school, for some reason, I don't know who did the lighting in that place, but every time I watched the school committee room, it looked like everybody was sitting in the dark with a flashlight, like they were sitting around a campfire.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at the room you guys are in now, it's got the big seal and the wood paneling, it looks like a courtroom, like, and there's plenty of room in there too, but I guess it goes back to positivity, right? It's the emotion you put into it. The reason why I love seeing those kids come to the school committee meetings and talk about it is because I like hearing the positive things that come out of the school system. Because in this town, and that goes to the political climate, it's easy to get mad about something you don't understand.
Oh, absolutely.
And
it's
you know, everybody with a Facebook account is an expert. Go down to a school committee and listen to these kids talk. Listen to these parents. See what's really going on. Don't just spout off. Get involved. You got a question? Call somebody. You know,
ask. Well, because there's things go out on Facebook, things go out on social media, and there's what's on social media, there's what someone told you what happened, and then there's the facts.
Right.
And you just, and I'm not saying they're wrong all the time, but there's reasons things happen sometimes.
Well, that's it, you know, and I think people are surprised to learn that the DPW doesn't have that many employees, you know.
Correct.
And in fact, our next guest, who I can see in the window over there, he just stepped in, Steve Doherty said a line to me once, the the most important pothole in town is the one in your driveway.
Yeah.
You know, the town manager's office has 3 people in it. Two really, I think. The amount of phone calls they get for questions that don't relate to the town manager's office, but they want to help them anyway. Well, listen, we don't do that, but I will reach out to such and such for you and get back to you. That's what they do all day.
Well, I think that's something that Saugus has that whether you like it, whether you don't like it, they have that personal touch, right?
Right.
You can walk in the town hall and see the town manager walking down the hall.
Right.
Or you can talk to the town clerk. You can get your question answered by someone in there. And I've been in that building, and people will be walking around, and I'll just say, "What are you looking for?"
I do the same thing. And neither of people think I work there because
Correct.
I go into the town manager's office once in a while. Usually if I have a question for the town manager's, one of his staff members, and like, that guy doesn't work here. Sir, do you need anything? Yeah, I'm looking for the recycle,
Yeah.
Everybody wants a no refuse sticker.
Yeah, where's the green sticker? Downstairs.
I guess, because we're getting near the end here, do you have a favorite memory of Saugus from when you were growing up?
You know what? I don't have one, I have a million. That's the problem. So I remember the 350th anniversary.
Yep.
George's Barbershop was where it was.
Yep.
We were young.
My grandmother's salon was right over there too.
Yeah, I forget. We were young. We were like 10 or 11.
I'm a child of Cliftondale.
We all went to George's and all got mohawks. I remember that. I just remember a lot of things. I remember
I should have Mike on this show.
I just remember
Mike Moriello.
Oh, God, he would be awesome to have on. I remember the blizzard of '78, walking up to Cogliano's Market. 6
miles in the snow, uphill both ways.
Walking to Cogliano's Market with your sleds to get food. And they were open, Mr. Cog opened, and God, today, everything would be closed down, and we didn't even have the equipment. I remember, and I don't know if my Uncle Jim worked for the town. He used to drive the Great All, and during the blizzard of '78, he came by the house and picked us all up, the kids, and took us to plow the street.
Took us on the route with him?
Yeah, no. I remember a lot of things, and just the friendships and the things. This is my hometown, right? And it's always going to be my hometown. And I don't care where you go in life, you always come home.
I back to the town manager. He said to me one day, you can take me out of Cliftondale, but you can't take the Cliftondale out of me.
It's true.
I'll go over to the Meg building, and some of the events they have throughout the year. Janice Jaros and the team over there are amazing, and I'll hear stories about the dentists that used to be there, and the kids would go to school, and some of the yearbooks are still there. And I remember I picked up a yearbook. It must have been in the '80s somewhere, and I'm flipping through the yearbook, and it's still people I know that live in town.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I think John Hatch was in that yearbook. I think he went to school with one of my cousins. But I'm like, oh, I know him. I know him. I know his. I know his son. I'm like, that's what's special about this place. And I don't know if there's a North Shore sort of towny vibe everywhere around here, but I don't know if there's another Saugus like that.
No. I always say Saugus. And I mean it. I've been around this country and this world. Saugus is different,
right?
And everyone has an opinion, and whether you like it or dislike it, whatever it is, they're from Saugus,
right?
And you're
not going to hate them.
Saugus, so you can be mad at them, but no one else can from another town.
That's right.
Or you can be happy, but it's that kind of community, and that's what I love about it.
I guess to wrap up before I do the outro here, you're on the school committee. You've been there for a few years now. You get to work with some amazing members, Ryan Fisher and John Hatch and the rest of the crew over there. The superintendent I don't know if he's a Saugus guy, but he's been in town a long time.
Mike Hasham's a Saugus guy.
That's
I
what
graduated high school at Mike Hasham. Mike Hasham played soccer with my brothers. I played football at high school. Mike Hasham's a Saugus guy through and through.
And as we've said 1,000 times, matter of fact, our new principal, Carlos Cazares, she's been in town a very long time. She was on the school committee for a while.
She is phenomenal.
You know, and I met her at the Vogue. She was principal at the Vogue for a while. And, you know, she's another one that just knew she always wanted to be in Saugus. And, you know, I think about it now, I don't think I could ever leave.
Her husband, Frank, phenomenal athlete in Saugus. Her family, phenomenal athletes.
Frank's mother was one of my grandmother's longtime customers.
She is one of the best. Getting her back here,
right?
I can't say enough about it. Just phenomenal. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say about getting Matt Serino back as the athletic director. I think when you look at these moves, I think it just strengthens the plan and the direction we're heading.
It's like, and even with Matt, I've only met Matt a couple of times, and it means he's a positive guy.
Oh, so positive.
You know, when he first came and introduced himself to the school committee, I liked him immediately. I'm like, this is a guy I'd want to have coffee with, and even though there's not an athletic bone in my body, I'm like, we're in good hands here. I knew it.
He can take a situation that's, you're just like, this is a dire situation, and fix it. He's got plans for things, right? We're a hockey town. He's got plans for things like that. He's got plans.
Do you have anything? I think your camera is right there. Do you have anything you want to plug? Is there any final message you want to say to the parents? Get involved. Sign up for the newsletter. What can they do to help you?
I would just say, get on the website. Come to a meeting. If you have questions, you have concerns. Our phone numbers, our emails are on the website. Contact us, because a lot of things we might not know. So if you're assuming that we know something and it's not getting fixed, it might not be the case, because we're not in the day-to-day stuff. So just let us know. I would also like to wish everyone a happy Easter.
Absolutely.
And a great school vacation, which comes up next week.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one. Well, you heard it here first. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Happy school vacation. Please keep an eye out. Town meeting starts in a couple of weeks. Please watch the meetings. Please, town meeting, come down to a meeting, get involved. If you don't want to speak, that's fine. Just listen.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Get involved.
You know, if you've got a question for Mr. Serino, if you've got a question for any of the other people we've name dropped in the last hour, reach out to them. They're humans. More importantly, they're Saugus residents. They care about this town. You know, every time I've reached out to one of you, and maybe maybe I'm special and you guys know me. I don't know. I don't think so. I've gotten an answer. I'll tell this story real quick. I'll never forget. I had a question for Selectman Panetta, and it wasn't anything important, but it was kind of a long one, and I had thought of it at 11 o'clock at night. And I thought, you know what? I'll text it to her now. That way I figure she's asleep. I'll text it to her now, and then in the morning she'll answer me. And I said that in the message. I said, listen, you get to this when you get a chance. 20 minutes later, she sends me back a paragraph, a detailed answer, thing better than any, as if she was sitting at her desk waiting for my message, she responded. That's just how she is. That's what people do. She just wanted to help. That's all the time we have today. Vinny, thank you so much for coming. I love having you. I hope you stay on the school committee for a long time, and I hope the public understands how lucky they are to have people as respectful and honorable as you. As always, this is the show of Saugus, about Saugus, and with some of our favorite Saugus residents. If you have any questions for me, anybody you want to see featured on the show, department heads, things like that, please reach out to us at info@saugustv.org. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the crew in the support room for making it possible for me to sound this good. Get your pets spayed and neutered, control the pet population. See you next time on Know Your Town.